School Committee meeting to order, February 2nd, 2016,
6:59?
6:59.
Well, it's posted at 6:45,
We're late.
so.
We were trying to start
And
earlier.
it's 6:45?
Roll call attendance, Mr. Quimby.
You're welcome, thank
Mrs.
you.
Granger. Ms. Reachutes.
Aye.
Mr. DeForge.
Aye.
And I am here. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. As many of you know, you're in a new building, and this project's been going on for quite some time. One of the first things that we did after regionalization and after the project was approved to at least do the feasibility study, one of the first things we did was took a particular approach and hired an owner's project manager. And that was Doran Whittier and primarily Trip Elmore, who is going to give us an update now that we are just inches from the finish line on the project. So, Trip, please go ahead.
Thank you, Pat. So, asked to just come and do a very brief, so I'm going to move right through this, but a brief update. Many of these things you will have seen or remember, and a little bit of new information as to how we're closing up. I had asked the architect to reach into the, and it's possible to turn the light down just because this picture is better. We got rid of the voice activated. Thank you very much. So, voice activated is too expensive. So, we asked to see if we could find a few things that we could highlight were the reason that this building now exists, and to just remember what was it like. And so this is a picture of the old library. This is a picture of the old kitchen and servery area. This is a picture of a classroom. Love that big wooden science station at the front of the room. Notice there aren't any science stations for any of the students. This is a lovely picture of one of the students' areas. By the way, none of those things that were sticking out of the countertop worked, nor did the outlets. So no water, no gases, no functioning stuff. And then that wonderful picture of where the dumpsters were kept. And basically the middle of the parking lot. As you pulled into the parking lot, that's what you got to see. Well, it's a little different today, because that's where everybody's coming through, as you all walked into the building there tonight. And a little different when you come in and you see this vast open space that looks all the way through the library into the art rooms on the second floor, and the sense of dimension. And this servery, which you could host anybody anywhere, and they would feel that they're in a very upscale spot. And then this sense of openness and community and gathering space that is shown here in the classroom wing. And then finally, look at the art room with all the natural light and the working desks and all the space. And you see over on the right-hand side that it opens up and overlooks the media center and into the cafeteria. So a real sense of dimension into this entire building, a real sense of how all the students are really connected to one another through the various spaces of the building. It's just an amazing transformation. It was an ad rental, and we took and reutilized what we had that we could use and tied it in very, very nicely. And I congratulate Sam Smith and McKee for doing an outstanding job for that. Switching over to Consigli, where are they at today? Well, we basically finished up with what we could before the winter was coming, the end of October, and got all the subs and said, okay, let's see if we can get things finished up. So one of the things that they have to deliver to us is attic stock. So I was just asked, well, could we replace one of these floor tiles? Is it possible to find this carpet somewhere? Well, you actually have 5% of this carpet underneath the stage right now. So you have tiles that, should some tiles get damaged, that are stored here, that all, you have the materials, you may need to hire a labor, but you have the materials on hand so that you can repair this building fairly easily and keep it looking in good shape. And so the specifications say that the various subs have to deliver certain amounts of attic stock. Right now, so there are roughly about 101 categories of attic stock, and it ranges from window blinds to floor carpeting to VCT to ceiling tiles, et cetera, et cetera. 85 categories have delivered their attic stock to this building. 16 categories are still outstanding. Some of those, I'll use the blinds, for example. You have 4 or 5 different types of blinds. Each one of those blinds is a category. So they're delivering their blinds next week. So that 16 immediately goes down to 11. So they're making some very good progress. Some electrical devices also need to be delivered, and a couple of mechanical items just need to be verified that they are here. Punch list. 2,300 items were identified to be fixed in the rolling punch list. And you have to remember, this was a phased project. So in the phasing of this project that went back roughly about a year and a half ago, we've had a rolling punch list. And 2,300 items existed, 61 open items exist today, and we're hoping by the end of next week, most of those will be gone, and there will be some remaining site work activity this spring, and some of those punch list items won't be resolved until that work is complete. Closeout logs, so this is owners' operations and maintenance manuals. How do you run the building? Currently, the building's being run off the O&M manuals that are on the Consigli website. So your staff here know how to go and address items, say, in an air handler on this roof. They don't have the actual binder in hand. Consigli is going to put it all together and put a master file together so that they have an electronic version, and then they will box up all the hard copies, which are big binders, and those big binders will find a place to be stored somewhere because everybody's going to go to the computer. But at least you'll have a hard and a soft copy. They won't deliver all those until those are 100% complete. There are 46 open items. There are 459 items that have been closed, so that means they have 450 items in hand. And it's basically fire protection, electrical, and HVAC specialty warranties that are still outstanding. And then just to bring you up to date, we have some springtime work that it just wasn't prudent to try to push it into the fall because weather potentially could have prevented us from actually getting what we were trying to get out of that activity. So for example, the surfacing of the tennis courts. They needed a certain weather window of temperature in order to ensure and warranty that the surface material that was going down would not bubble. So we certainly didn't want to play with that warranty. It was winter. It's fine. Do it in the spring. And so we decided to wait for that. The seating around the building, we determined we didn't have enough topsoil. The building footprint got smaller. The amount of topsoil we were able to scrape off wasn't enough to do the whole site. We were trying to go back and forth and determine maybe we don't put that much topsoil all the way to the woods, for example. We were trying to be frugal. In being frugal, we ate up time. That time evaporated a window to seed. So we have to come back and do that. There were a couple of punch list items like the generator base. The paint had started to peel, so we're going to paint that. And then there were some other miscellaneous site work activities that will be done in the springtime by the site contractor. And then in March, we believe that the signage package, so there's going to be some identification signage that's put on the outside brick of the building, and that's in fabrication right now. That'll be done in March. So that's basically the springtime activity. Just to give you a sense of where Consigli wound up or thinks that they're headed, and they've got most of the numbers with the exception of about 250,000. So the original GMP was 44,516,000. We've had changes that we have executed that are 1.351 million, and that roughly represents about 3% changes to date. So that brings the current value of the GMP to $45,868,211. And we have roughly 255,000 of changes that have not been fully vetted or executed by the project team. So if you were to say, what is our exposure right now, it's 255,000. You put all those numbers together and said full 255 is going to be agreed to, which we have to go through the process. The estimated or the forecasted total project cost for the contractor is $46,123,211. That represents about 3.61% of changes on the project. This was an addition renovation project. On a new building, you might say that 1 to 3% is a typical sort of number of changes just due to the nature of the beast of construction. In an ad reno scenario, that number jumps to more like 7%. So we carried roughly $3.2 million in contingency, and you may remember early on that was a big clarifying point, and I think, Pat, you spent quite a bit of time trying to make sure the community understood. If we don't spend that money, we don't spend the money. We don't borrow the money. We don't use the money. So right now we're sort of forecasting that there'll be some amount of savings in that amount. Roughly, I want to say it's about somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1.1 million of contingency will be saved at the end of the day, thereabouts. But we just sort of have to see how those numbers come through. So I caution you, don't hold me to that 1.1. But there is a significant savings in contingency. And then there's some other savings that we will sort of sweep out the corners, if you will, that we had budgeted. So I'll give you, for permitting, we had $25,000. We didn't use any of that money. So that comes off the project cost. So what I'm going to do is leave you with just a little bit of a history of where did we go, where we come from, and what are we sort of forecasting. In August of 2012, the estimated project cost was $56,543,765. The MSBA, this was at schematic design. This is where we had very limited information. We had not a lot of drawings. We had descriptive narrative to describe the HVAC system and the lighting system, for example, and the plumbing system. They then said at that point in time that their reimbursement, their maximum, doesn't tell you what they're going to give you, it says their maximum amount of money that is going to be available for Air Shirley would be $37,174,694. That's the maximum that they would ever give you. Doesn't mean they're going to give it all to you. Matter of fact, I don't know that they've ever given the maximum to any project in the Commonwealth. Typically, it's about 95%, somewhere in that area. But if you do the straight math, it says the lowest local share amount. That's the lowest, which is straight math. If you got the maximum from the MSBA, which is almost unachievable, the local share would be $19,669,000. Fast forward 2 years. Now you bid the job. The project cost has stayed the same. $56,543,765. The MSBA comes in at that point in time and amends their agreement with the district so that they sent you an amended agreement. And this is part of their evaluation process. They reduced their grant funding because of some savings that they considered taking on their grant. And I don't have the specific line items that they took the money back from, but at that point in time, they took about $300,000 off the grant funding, which increased the local share of it. And now we're forecasting the completion of this project as roughly $54,850,000, give or take. It's in that ballpark. So there's roughly about $1.7 million in savings. How does that get treated by the MSBA? I did not want to forecast because it is the MSBA, not me. Okay? And the math is going to be the math. So, I would say that the project is coming in well, and that the team has been able to be able to keep costs in control and not let changes run too crazy. With that, that's my update. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody in the audience?
Mr. Gleason?
And I thought at some point we had there'll be some small amount of capital, might have to be sent back to the towns, things weren't covered under MSBA. Was there a small chunk of, relatively small, capital assessment coming out of this grant?
No, I don't think
No.
so. Not,
No.
no. I think what we're thinking right now, and I know Chip doesn't want to say it, and he can't hold me to it either, is that lowest local share is probably going to come in a shade under 20, even though we were able to save 1.7 million, because the MSBA decides as we go along and as we submit receipts, exactly what they're going to pay and not pay for. For example, that the first big hit we took was on the auditorium, right? The auditorium is twice as big as MSBA allows a school of this size to have. And we decided we were going from an auditorium of 900 seats. We didn't want to go any smaller than 600 seats, which is what we have now, because it would really feel like a bandbox in there. But doing that meant that we were going to have to, some of it they were just not going to reimburse per square foot. And most of that first hit came from that auditorium. The other is the reconfiguration of the outside. They only will cover up to 8% for anything you do outside the building.
Absolutely.
And we didn't want to leave, a half-done job. So the plantings, the grass, the pavement, we did the studies to do the correct traffic pattern to increase the safety, move the entrance to the top of the knoll so that people could see both ways. It was just the right decisions for the space, but we don't get reimbursed everything then. But in the end, we don't have to go back for everything can be taken out in terms of what we can borrow and go forward.
So,
The other thing that we might want to mention, just while we're here anyway, is that one of the things the building committee recommended, based on our partners and work done by the superintendent at the time, that the school committee ultimately took the action on, was borrowing that money up front. Normally, you wouldn't be borrowing until now. We would have kind of done short-term borrowing in order to pay off the cost of this. We did the borrowing largely up front, which saved these communities in the neighborhood of $1.3 million in interest. So this project is costing less than we presented to the communities when we first got it approved.
And so I think that was Murray Clark, the chair of the school building committee, had told me. He really wanted to go into all of those components. He wanted us, to finish our review of any of the changes, get the contractors figured out, sweep out any of those buckets of money that are not being spent, try to get to that final number, and then weigh in the factors of like over $1 million in interest saved on the bond to try to figure out how did we land what was told to the voters at what time that they approved the project. But that's going to take some time, I think. If I can give you one compliment, I'm working with a different community at Mount Greylock out in Williamstown. Farthest place you can go, it's mile marker number 2 on Route 2. You're 111, I believe. So as I travel that. And they have selected an option, which is the sister of this building, without question. And it was the one that made the most sense. And I had the chair of the building committee walk this through. And he walked through and he said, "This is an addition renovation building." He said, this is spectacular. And I was at the MSBA, and they were talking about great projects. And this is one of the projects they considered really, truly special, because it was taking so many elements that could be saved and saving them, and not rebuilding them, but really focusing on like the space we're in right now. It's really identified as one of the true successes out there in the MSBA process.
and you might as well talk about the award that Sims got for their design.
Absolutely. So the design's already been recognized, and the designer was given an award. And I'm sorry, it doesn't come off the top of my head.
I can't even think of it.
So,
I have it in my
but
PowerPoint.
But it was big.
It's big. So congratulations, folks. This was quite a fun project to be a part of, and I think so many people are recognizing this is one of those model projects that they'd love to have too.
Thank you to you and your firm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trip.
Thanks, Trip.
Turn the light back on.
This one went off, I think, with the sensors. So we have to wait. No, I guess it's for the other side of the room.
On our agenda, we had the public hearing on FY17 proposed budget. I'll call that to order now. We have a slide deck we're going to go through briefly to show you where we stand on our budget now that we have the initial governor's budget released. And then we'll open the floor for question and commentary. Do it?
Yes,
To prove it happened?
yep.
Michelle, can you send a sign-in sheet around the room? Please?
Just want to make sure that everybody got a budget booklet. Okay. Okay, excellent. So this PowerPoint that we're going to show you this evening is going to give, hopefully deepen your understanding of the budget that's being presented to the public this evening. This is our second iteration, meaning that on January 20th, we presented a budget to the school committee that we worked on together as a group that was based on numbers that we had from last year. And as you may know, Governor Baker released his budget on January 27th, and so he gave us a different set of numbers which we made adjustments in the budget. The agenda of the PowerPoint will show you some highlights and trends in the district. What are the budget drivers and the process that we use to derive this budget? The assessment to both towns, Town of Air and Town of Shirley, some closing enrichments, and we'll take some questions. You see our vision, and the biggest piece of this vision that is most important is academic excellence for all students. Budgets are built upon the quality of instruction that we as a school district, with the support of the school committee, commit to provide to students there in Shirley. Our school committee members, Patrick Kelly, our chair, Joyce Rayshoots, vice chair, Michelle Granger, our secretary, Mr. Gleason, and then Mr. James Quinty, and Jonathan DeForge. And I'm Mary Malone, superintendent. Some of our highlights. We've had a lot of highlights. We'd have to take up 10 slides, so we thought we'd take up one. And as you just saw, the high school project, we're sitting in a brand new high school, completed on time and under budget. The enrollment here, over 400 students for the first time in 15 years, and growing. We have seniors been accepted to Norwich, Hofstra, Clark, Temple, the U.S. Military Academy, Maine Maritime, and the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. And we do have a student that is being strongly considered for the Naval Academy. So this year we've had some, and there's others as well, and we'll keep reporting out those college acceptances. In 2015, we were recognized as one of the top high schools in the United States and Massachusetts. We just recently removed from the warning status that was that the NEASC, the New England Association of Colleges and Schools, put us on for the facility itself. The Student Council was recognized by the Massachusetts Association of Student Councils as a 5-star council. We have the Student Council Advisory here, and we have full student participation, K-12 in the December hour code. We are building and strengthening our STEM and computer programs here in the district. Next year we'll be providing computer programming at the high school. And the first robotics team presented to school committee members and superintendents at a conference in November down in Hyannis, annual conference. And Mary Beth Hamill, assistant superintendent, was there, along with Joyce Rayshoots and myself. and we watched the presentation, and we stayed, it was wonderful, we were very proud. They were one of the only student groups to present to superintendents and school committees across the Commonwealth. So our enrollment this year, again, PowerPoint, we try to highlight the most important pieces. We've increased by 35 students from FY15 to FY16 1 year. We expect that increase to continue for next year. Looking at our school choice, pupil trends here, you can see the blue is choice in, the number of students coming into the district. The orange bar is the number of students going out, beginning in 2003, going up to 2016. So the blue is probably the most important. I'm sorry, I thought I had a fade in there. This is the most important trend that we want to see. Is people, the orange, I'm sorry, kids, people choicing out, we want to see that go down. And we're keeping more students in the district. Some of the trends. So the choice out increased by 43.8% from FY03 to FY11. And it decreased by 18.3% from FY12 to FY16. So this is after regionalization. Pretty impressive statistics. Charter school students. Charter was another avenue that students were electing to leave the district. And again, if you look at the blue bar from FY 2005, this marker here is a regionalization point, and then you can see where we are today. So there was a trend going out, and now we're reversing it, we're going down. But we're very proud of these enrollment trends. So this slide here shows charter, how it increased 90%, lower 3 to 11, and then a decreased 22.7% since the regionalization. History of the regional budget. I'm going to call up Bill Plunkett. Bill Plunkett is the finance director. Bill and I work very closely together. I've been working on this budget, so he needs to shine and show you whatever budget we've put together. Mr. Plunkett.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This slide is a history of the regional budget. The first line, you see the general fund has gone from $21,000,009 to $26,600 at an average of $24 million. The second line is grants and revolving funds, which have remained flat. FY13 they were $2.8 million, and we see a slight increase to FY17 at 2.9, and the average is $2.8 million. All funds for fiscal 17, we have $29,600,000, which is a 2.9% increase over the previous year, FY16. So it's the lowest percent increase of those 5 fiscal years. Excluded debt, which the high school debt came on board in FY15, has remained pretty stable. The principal and interest will remain pretty stable for quite a few years. So the average is almost 1.4 million. And then all funds, which includes the revolving and the grants, has climbed from 24 million to 28 million. And this most recent year is a 3.1% increase over last year.
Let's call them their averages.
And the average for all of those is 3.4. The next slide is the assessment. And the assessment is derived at by taking our operating expenses, our general fund operating expenses, and then subtracting any aid we get. Chapter 70 is the major component. So our assessment for FY16 is projected at $16,727,989, which is an increase of $757,000. Part of that is the required local contribution, which is set by the state, and the rest of it would be the net school spending above RLC, which is the amount that we need for our operating budget above RLC. So that was a 4.7% increase over FY16. The average of the years is $15,095,000, and the average increase is $765,000.
So it's pretty much a 2% decrease in the assessment to the towns this year.
No.
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 The increase is 2% less, but it's an
Right, the
overall
increase.
increase.
I mean,
of
yeah,
4%.
yeah. Sorry about that, thank you. So the assessment, though, it is less than what we're asking for last year, over.
Yeah.
And the lowest since we formed the region.
Right.
Revenue, this is, the governor's budget is House 2, this is what he just released last week, and it shows an increase of 35,000 in chapter 70 over last year. We got $20 per student. Regional transportation is just about flat. There's actually a slight decrease. Charter tuition reimbursement is also down. A lot of that has to do with the calculation for the reimbursement, which they changed the low income, or we used to use free and reduced, but now they're going to economically disadvantaged, and they're using some different criteria. So that's affected our charter reimbursement. School choice receiving is up a little bit. That's good news. So total receipts are up 35,000 over FY16. As far as charges that are taken out of our revenue, special education component of school choice is 14,000, and then school choice setting tuition is estimated at 727,000, an increase of 13,429. We have our charter school sending tuition, which is also set by the state based on our enrollments, and that's an increase of $8,913 in charges. Total estimated charges is 22,000. So the net of charges and receipts is increased to the budget of 13,321. So it's a pretty minimal increase after you net out the charges. So we're dealing with some pretty flat funding from the state. I know there's been some work on the commission to review the foundation. Foundation budget is actually down overall for Air Shirley. So these are some of the challenges that we're facing, trying to keep the budget within what's affordable for the community. So
I think it should be noted too that there's an inflation factor that is in the Chapter 70 formula, or the foundation budget formula,
it's negative.
which is actually negative 0.22%.
Right.
When health insurance alone for us is up 11%, and our costs are going up, and somehow the wisdom of the state's formula, they actually reduced the foundation budget by that inflation, because they see overall inflation in the economy is low, but not for school budgets.
Yeah, our foundation budget is actually down overall from last year, so that plays into it as well. Our fixed cost budget drivers, we have several big tickets. First of all, the salaries is a big part of our budget. Altogether, we have about 14 million in salaries for the district. Health insurance, we have been told by our insurance carrier that to expect the top increase, which is 11%. They have a band of increases that they give, and 11% being the highest end of it. They told us to expect that due to our claim experience. We finally have a full 2.5 years of claim experience that they can see how our claims have been running compared to the rest of the pool. Health insurance for our retirees, we're growing. We're adding 5 new retirees in the upcoming fiscal year. So they pay 50% of the premium, so thus it's a 5.5% increase on top of that. Our retiree pool is growing. Special ed transportation costs are going up. We have a $64,592 increase. A lot of the routes that we're running, we try to pool as much as we can, but those costs are rising. Maintenance supplies, with the high school project being complete, we realizing that we need to have rooftop filters for all our air handling units on top of the roofs. There's hundreds and hundreds of filters that go into those units. They have to be changed a couple times a year. So the cost that goes with that, we want to make sure we get that in the budget. We also have a water meter upgrade program that the Air Public Works Department has required us to comply with for next year. Our pension assessment is, again, due to actuarial data that Middlesex has on our group, our demographic group. So they have, we get an assessment on the Middlesex retirement system, and that's $25,000 we need to add to the budget for next year. Homeless transportation, we only had $15,000 budgeted last year. It really grew. We had $54,000 in expenses in FY15, so it's really become quite an issue, and we want to make sure that we adequately budget that line, so we're going to add $30,000 there, so we can accommodate any homeless transportation. And our utility rates, now that the high school's back online, we're adding electricity at each building for 2.4 billion kilowatts across the district. And at the current pricing that we have, we know that we're anticipating a $64,000 increase for electricity across the 4 buildings in the district. And then lastly is insurance for the high school. We had a builder's risk policy while we were under construction, and now that is complete and we have an occupancy permit, we have to add the full value of the building back onto our property insurance. So that's why we had an increased cost there that we absorbed this year. We have to make sure that's in the budget for next year. Total is $937,000 of fixed cost increases, and our assessment, the assessment only went up $757 total to the two towns. So you can see we're not even covering fixed cost increases.
Which really do not directly impact student instruction.
Right. Yes.
Mr. Gleason?
Oh, sorry. I go back.
Yeah, that's one of the points I wanted to make. So if the picture hopefully is becoming clear, right? We got about $35,000 more from the state, that's it. We've done a great job of managing our choice out. It's net revenue positive for us, and we've grown that amount year over year. Charter is heading down. And you have $1 million almost here, and none of that touches the classroom. So it's
But
a pretty
impacts
tough
our
picture
budget, it impacts,
that we're managing with it.
yeah. So the budget process, the school committee reviews the superintendent's budget, my budget, on programmatic enhancement. So my main responsibility is to advocate for the students in this district and their needs. And I have set forth what I believe are those critical needs. And we do have some critical needs, particularly with resources and instruction. So the superintendent's budget is $1.1 million approximately, and we know that we're not going to increase the budget by that much, but it's very important for me to apprise the public and all the stakeholders that these are some of the areas of need in the school district that we're going to have to start budgeting for and purchasing. The school committee asked me to provide a budget that would sustain all programming and request a smaller increase of support. So again, Mr. Plunkett and I, when we develop budget, we work with the principals and the assistant superintendent. We met with every single department head. We gave them a needs assessment form to present back to the district. We looked at the individual budgets, but we kept in mind throughout this whole process that we want to present a reasonable budget to the town that is sustainable for them as well. So I'm required to advocate for the students that I serve and present a budget that provides the best possible education. So we have areas of growth, but we are not funding in the FY17 budget. I will say that looking at, again, when we develop a budget, we look for efficiency, and we have found some areas that we can be more efficient, so through that we're able to reallocate resources to increase some of our services to our students, and I think that's important to look at in this budget. So as we move forward, early childhood program is growing. We had an informational 2 sessions last week. We had over 100 families. We are actively pursuing our families in the area Shirley to attend our preschool and kindergarten program. So with that, cost increase, and we have most districts, the early childhood coordinator will manage those programs, which is very, so I'm going to advocate for that. A literacy coach, mathematic coaches, but the real critical area are the resources. We need a new K-5 literacy program, social studies materials, K-8, K-8 science. And we'll have to get into a purchase plan for those in the next year's budget. And we're looking at a one-to-one environment for our students. The students of today are named, and aptly named digital natives. That's how they learn, this is how they interact with the world, and we need to meet them at their learning needs and their levels, so that we can engage and motivate them to do well and succeed and achieve academic excellence. So these were the budget options, including my budget, if you see here. So that would increase the total operating budget to $30,635,000. The increase would be 1.8, just rounding off, increase of 6.3%. This is from last year's budget to this budget in dollar amount, not, it doesn't have anything to do with the assessment. This would increase the assessment to 17.771. This would be the total increase, assessment increase, which would be 11.3%, which we know is not sustainable. So the current budget, Bill, we built a budget of $29.662 million.
That's the bottom line of all funds. The overall increase is $838,000. Again, a 2.9% increase over FY16. The assessment to the two towns to be split in the regional agreements is foundation enrollment. The 16,727 will be split by foundation enrollment. And the total increase is $757,699.
And again, I want to keep in mind that we saw the fixed cost increase for around $900,000. So we've been able to look at, create some efficiencies in our budget so that the total assessment increase is $757,000. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, you're running the meeting.
One of the items that I just wanted to talk about briefly was some of the things that are in the superintendent's budget. One of the things that we've had to wrestle with in the last 5 years is that Shirley has had to pay extra to come up with what was that equitable payment agreement. AIR was putting some extra money forward, and we have to get our student costs equal to what they were paying towards the regionalization agreement. That paired with not really knowing what the final cost of this project was, made it difficult to expand programs in particular areas. Each year when we developed the budget, you know, one of the things I used to hate the most is that we would track the principals this year, and they would give you a list of all the things they want for Christmas, and you would give them exactly zero. You know, I just hated to give them that exercise, and we haven't done that this year. Dr. Malone took a look district-wide and said, what can we do? She's always talking with the principals, and she developed some things that we feel can make a difference in the quality of the educational experience in the school. This year is the last year that Shirley has to pay an extra amount to come up to par on per pupil expenditures. I think it's an extra 107 for this year.
It compounded a little bit, so it's up a little bit.
60.
160.
So we got that. But next year, as we sit to develop the budget, that will be completed. We'll certainly know what we have spent on the school, and we'll be taking a hard look at some of these growth programs. So we've come a long way in what we've done already. The teachers and the staff have done a great job in revamping some of their programs, but there are other areas of need that will have to be addressed. But we were just not in a world that we could make those expansions now. So I think next year's process will be different than anything that we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to build back into the resources of the school district, accounting for. To reinforce what you just said, Mr. Quinty, Shirley's phase is $162,000. This is their last year, and they also had an increase to their required local contribution, and that increase was about $147,000. Again, nothing we control. They had 34 more students. So that increases. So that was a total increase to them of $296,000 in the assessment. So this slide actually shows you that. We would have, the school committee will have to certify the budget. These are the numbers. We just went over those. You want to talk a little bit about it, Mr.? We have the number here, the Shirley assessment is $506,564, which totals to an 8.2 increase in AIR, less that 162 is $251,135, or 2.6%. And as I just pointed out, of this 506,564, 162 is, 809 is the, last year of the phase-in, and then the other pieces are increased to the RLC that's set forth in Chapter 70. Foundation enrollment has nothing to do with us. But Shirley does have a decrease in their Neshoba tuition. They're down 13 students this year, which is about, what, 92,000? 95,000, so that'll help in their budget.
So 60% of our increase to Shirley is out of our control.
Yeah.
It's what they agreed to in the regional agreement, plus the state hit their required local contribution.
So what did we do in this budget? What does this budget have? We are able to maintain reasonable class size. We're able to stay in our current programming for language in 8th grade, for example. We're going to continue to strengthen our pathways. At the high school, we're going to be offering computer programming next year. We're going to add an AP chemistry course, AP English language and composition. I just mentioned computer programming. We're going to have all 9th graders start taking biology, and then they will be able to take chemistry in grade 10, which will start those students on the AP path. And a lot of those students will take, most of the students will take the biology impact exam in 9th grade. So that's a real positive, a real advantage for our students, and it's creating rigor in our programming and is keeping us competitive with surrounding districts. We're able to reallocate money and buy the text for those courses, because with those AP courses it requires textbooks. The international program that I talked about last year, we've been CMS approved, and we have our first student that has applied to Air Shirley High School. So we're very excited about that, and that should generate some tuition, hopefully, as we build that program. We're going to add 2 instructional technology teachers, 1 in each elementary school. So we'll have a full complement of technology staff K through 12. There's an employee portal that's in the business department that Mr. Plunkett is adding. I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, that's for our payroll software, so employees can go online on a web-based program. They can go in and see all their payroll information, get their W-2s, do health insurance enrollments, staff surveys, staff trainings. It's a one-time cost, and it's also a hosted version where actually they'll be hosting our server, the software on a server on their premises, and we do not have to provide a server here, pay for server upgrades or disaster recovery here. So our costs will go down to our current levels after the 1 year.
Kind of like getting into the 21st century.
Moving on.
And we're
We're in
going
the
to
cloud.
adding it's actually a grade 3 teacher at the Laura White. Full-time custodian at the high school, so we'll have a full 4.5, which is what we need to adequately maintain this building and to honor the taxpayers' money and the commitment that the 2 districts have made, or 2 communities, in building this beautiful high school. We're again improving our preschool program so that we can take all the students and get them into our public school program, which has many advantages for students. K-12, developmental guidance, that's a program I'd like to see implemented through our guidance department. And we're also partnering with this organization called Mass Insight that's going to give us support as we expand our AP courses and student participation. Last year, I think we had 28 students, and this year we have 78. So in 1 year, we've increased that by 50 students. The budget timeline. So right now, we are at our public hearing, which is right here. Next Monday, we're going to present to Town of Shirley in the FinCom. On Tuesday, we'll be in here. And then on March 1st is the next school committee meeting that the school committee may decide to certify the budget. The Shirley Town meeting is on April 23rd, so the regulation mandates the school committee to have a budget certified 45 days before the first town meeting. And then the year town meeting is on May 9th. And I'm happy to take questions or comments from the committee.
First, well presented, very easy to follow. Thought I saw you had 5 retirees, but I only noticed 2 replacements.
They're not all teachers. We have a couple paraprofessionals, food
Okay, I see.
service.
So do we get 1-for-1 on teachers?
Yes, so I'm going to announce tonight that one of our teachers at the middle school is retiring, so she would get replaced.
Okay, cool.
So there has been no reduction in staffing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I have two other quick questions. Just from you're proud of the trend for choicing out the orange bars, if you will. Have you done any correlation between the choicing out and why kids aren't choicing out, and maybe extrapolate to that data to what might look back a couple years out? And why?
So the first part of your question, have we looked at the data about why students were choicing out? The
You
first
know,
part of your
why
question?
they're staying,
Why they're staying now?
you know?
Well, I would like to think, we haven't interviewed anybody yet or gathered data, and that's a very good suggestion. I would like to think it has to do with Brandon High School. I would like to think it has to do with our improvements in programming and our commitment to academic excellence. Would any of the school committee members like to add anything to that?
Well, we did the opposite last year. We actually surveyed the families who had
Yeah.
left and got good data on that.
Is it-
But it's an interesting idea to say, I mean, we don't know who would have left, so like, you have to survey everybody.
Yeah. How do we?
Right? We can't know the delta, who was about to leave and they're staying now, but it's interesting to take the other perspective at it, like,
Yeah.
why are you here, kind of thing. But we did look at the other side of it, why people have been leaving, and we collected that last year.
And as an interesting note to that, we did surveys, we had a bubble in the early elementary years, which was odd to us. We understood why people were having concerns during the renovation project here, and making choices when it's around junior high and high school. But as we found out, there were concerns about the availability of programs that were going to be offered, and as you know, with choice, if you choice your child out in early elementary to a town that you like their high school program, say, I don't know, Westford or Lexington or any of those communities, if you get them in the third grade, they can stay there all the way through the 12th grade. They don't have to worry. If you waited until you got further on in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, choice could be closed to those schools and be ruled out. So we, as she pointed out, Malone pointed out that we've expanded the pre-K programs and in the kindergarten programs. When we meet the parents, some of that information as to what is available throughout the district is now available to students at it earlier, because having 3 kids, you're most manic when your kids are starting school. And if you're new parents, you're already looking at colleges and you barely know their colleges. After a while, your nerve endings are getting, and you just make them get on the bus. So we're trying to do some more focus on the early education to get that information out.
We could track it, I was just curious because that's a direct correlation to the positive positive programming, able to spend dollars other places, right? Because that it wins, you can, I don't know, roll the dice and make it a steeper curve. And then the last question I have is the 900,000 in fixed costs. That hurts, obviously. The specific question, I know you have to take it on the chin for long-term agreements for 11% for health. But how about the utility rate increase at 12%? Do you expect that trend to continue? That one jumped off the page to me. Because if it's going to continue like that, that's going to hurt just as bad as health insurance.
We are looking into our rates. We're looking into jumping into a group purchase, combining with the town insurance, or to get the supply rates. The delivery rate is kind of locked in with the grid for this area, but we can definitely get that supply price down. There's a couple different options we can look at. And we don't have full data on our gas usage here. We were, during construction, there were a lot of open doors while we were having school. We were in school last year, but a lot of the walls were open and there was a lot of heating the outdoors last year. So we're really going to look at the gas usage this year to see where we are. We anticipate the other schools pretty flat. Oil prices are down a little bit, but now we only have 2 buildings that are on oil. We have Fayetteville up in Lower White, and we have gas at the middle, which is Devon's mass development, so that's kind of locked in too. We can't do anything with the rates on mass development, so we will definitely look at the gas usage in these two buildings, to see what's the middle school and the high school especially, to see what we can do. Because we can do a group purchase for gas as well.
So there could be some pitfalls for you if you underrun them, particularly one.
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear about the homeless.
This is the second year the health insurance has increased 11% too.
Just-
I mean, everybody's,
And they're just gonna beat you on the head until you go shop around.
Yeah.
Just 12%.
Mr.
good
Gleason?
questions.
I don't think we've gotten into the Foundation Budget Review Commission at all, which we probably should mention though. So the legislature did put together a committee to look at, is the way that this calculation, which was formulated back in 1993 when school reform was put in,
So it's
is
real
that
fresh.
appropriate today? And this, I'm sure to folks like us who've been at this for a while, no surprise, especially special education and health insurance are not adequately considered in the funding. But yet the governor and the legislature has yet to take any action on the report that came out of that committee. So one thing we'd ask the public and our town officials to help us with is pressuring our elected representatives and the governor's office to start looking at implementing Foundation Budget Review Commission's suggestions. They're broader than just health insurance and sped, but those are the two biggest cost drivers. So as things have changed over the years in those areas, the formula has not kept up, and so the state is not really helping us fund that. So we could use some help there.
Work in healthcare, you should get that.
We could use some help there.
And the Mass Association of School Committees and the Mass Association of School Superintendents, they work together and they put together a package or a program for adequate Chapter 70 funding, and it was not funded, it was not taken into consideration. I think Mr. Gleason mentioned special ed costs and health insurance costs, and these are costs that school districts have to absorb and have to pay for, and we're not we don't raise revenue. We try to run efficiently, we try to make, our budget to be effective and efficient, and we look at ways to raise money, keep down costs, we allocate, but they don't have any way to raise revenue to absorb any of these costs, public education, so.
Well, according to the state, all we need is an extra $20 per student per year, and we're good, right?
Mr. McGinty can give all those principals and teachers everything.
And inflation's going down, right? It's negative.
Right, inflation's going down, so everything is cheaper, right?
Can I just comment
Mr.
too?
Ford?
So in the governor's budget, he's also revamping the way charter reimbursement would be paid back, and so that has an impact on us. Right now, it's currently 6 years of payback. He's looking to change it to 3, and I believe the third year is only for underperforming districts. Well, the third year was,
Just the second two, we would get 1 year.
Yeah,
oh, is it the second
Yeah.
two?
You have to be
Okay.
9% of your budget has to be going to charter in order to qualify for the second and third year.
Yeah.
And
Six
so-
years of 100% first year, 25 for 5 years, to 1 year with 100% of, that's of your tuition increase, but it goes year to year, it's not the full amount.
Right.
So a $1 million number goes up to $1,100,000, we get 100. We're still paying the other $1,000,000. And unfortunately, that's going in the right direction, but it's gonna take a while for it to get from high 6 figures down to something more manageable, and the state's basically saying, you're on your own.
And give us more.
Give Mary
Now,
the little
now,
charts.
the good news in all of this is, and there's some good news, and I think we're doing some great things in the district, and we're being very creative with our budgeting, but this is the first iteration from the governor. We still have the House and we still have the Senate, and typically the Senate is a little more generous than some of the funding, so all you said is advocate for the budgets, Chapter 70 funding.
And to close on a more positive note, I mean, that list of things we're doing is extensive.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that financially we're strapped by the state. And I think the superintendent and her staff get most of the credit for that, for being creative, finding some efficiencies, applying that to other areas of the program that needed some bolstering that maybe been neglected. And so, speaking really for myself, but I think most of the committee would say that Dr. Malone and her staff have done a great job and are helping us to keep things moving forward despite financial situation when it's not.
Thank you.
particularly advantageous.
One of our many mentors, Maureen Hill Cummins, and they worked really hard on that video, so thank you for letting me show you. And I figure I got out all the news of what's going on in 3 minutes. It would have taken much longer to talk.
That's great.
Okay, so we have, you have in front of you, I believe, 4 out-of-state field trip requests. 2 of them we plan to make for sure, and 2 of them we will be going on those trips if we qualify for the New England Championship and for the World Championship for robotics. We don't have much opportunity. There's not a long period of time from when you find out if you qualify, as we learned first year. For the World Championship, we have about a week and 3 days before we have to leave. So we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row now that we're on year 3. We know how it all works. So the first one is a trip to Merrimack, New Hampshire, for what they call the Week 0 event. It's the last weekend of the 6-week build season for the robot, and they basically do a preseason competition. And we hope to be ready this year to send a robot and a team so that we can, it's a great practice opportunity with working on the real field. Currently we're 7th on the wait list, but even if we don't get to play with our robot, we want to send some students up so we can get the intel that we need to use. So that's out of state. We plan to carpool. If you're not aware, we have 46 students and 29 coaches. So we're going to use carpooling whenever we can, because we have that opportunity. So it's about 1-to-4 ratio. I expect maximum 20 kids to go and about 5 chaperones. It's pretty easy. 1 day trip. Cost, it's a $100 registration. That's another thing that's a steal in the first world, so that's pretty cheap. All the mentors are quarried, and most of them are fingerprinted, which we'll get on in the following ones. Are there any questions about that one?
Christine, should we approve these one at a time or just as a packet? What do you think? As a packet?
Whatever works for you. I don't want
We'll do a packet for the robotics team.
Yeah.
Sure. Hopefully it's all 1 thumbs up. Okay, the next one is our first competition. You can mark your calendars if you want to go check it out. All the competitions are free and open to the public. It's a great way to inspire kids in STEM to see the excitement. So Windham, New Hampshire is our first competition. It's at a high school there. It's March 5th and 6th. I believe it's definitely a Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 5th and 6th. So we will take our team, about 45 students, about 25 chaperone mentors, so it's about 1-to-2 ratio. We will carpool to Windham. It's not very far away, so it's pretty easy. It's 3 days in a row. The first day we load in, Friday night we load in our robot, set up our pit, and so we'll probably take a half team then, and the other 2 days the full team will go. So we'll meet at the high school, carpool out, come back, and we're lucky enough again this year. I'm going to put a little pitch in. Air Moving and Storage is allowed to donate a moving truck for us for each of our
Oh, nice.
competitions.
Nice.
So we can put our robot and our tools and all of our setup in there. So we'll have the air moving and storage moving truck and a carpool. Dollar-wise, about $2,500 in expense. Basically, that's half of our registration fee. Our registration fee each year is $5,000, and that gets you access to 2 competitions. And this is the first of the 2. Again, the benefit of carpooling is we're not paying for a bus, it's free. We have yet to have anyone ask for gas money. If it comes to that, we probably would find a way, but luckily, no one's asked, so we're going with that. So that's Wyndham. The next one kind of bums me out as a coach. We haven't had to do a long trip for the New England Championship. The first year was in Boston, the second year was in Worcester. This year, the New England Championship is in Hartford. It's an hour and a half or so away, and it's 4 days in a row. That's just too much to commute back and forth and have
3 hours.
kids focused or adults focused on making a robot work. So this will be an overnight. It'll need a hotel. It's out of state. I know it's an hour and a half drive. I'm not not sure what the policies are, but regardless as to what they are, I'm asking that you let me do a carpool again, because I don't want to have to worry about paying for a bus of something greater, so keeping my fingers crossed that that's acceptable. Again, that's only if we qualify. If we don't qualify, we won't go, but we're planning on going.
Good.
When is that, Chris? Sorry.
Oh, the date on that one?
April
That's,
13th,
uh,
13th,
That's
13 to 16.
April 13th to the 16th, and I forgot to mention, geez, this must be, oh yes, I don't have the one for Reading because it's not out of state. So yes, this one is in April, the 13th to the 16th, Wednesday through Sunday. It does impact school in this case, so there are some school days in there. We would plan to have about 40 students and about 10 chaperones for that. So that one also triggers, the laws relative to fingerprinting. So we've been going on the plan here that everyone needs to be quarried just to be at our meetings. So we've got everybody quarried. We have about a third of the group already fingerprinted for the mentors, and we acknowledge and recognize and have told them that every chaperone will need to be fingerprinted before we go. So we're going to start that process pretty soon. Between our district events and before the New England event, we have 5 weeks between those competitions. So we're going to stay pretty focused on robot building, and then 2 weeks back to back of competition. It's kind of a brutal schedule. And then during those 5 weeks, we'll get everyone fingerprinted. The budget for that, if you qualify for New England Championship, you get to pay another $4,000 to play. The total cost estimated, I have on the back sheet there, $18,000, $0 for transportation because it's carpool, $6,000 for hotel, $6,000 for food, and $4,000 for registration. The food plan, we're going to go with what we did the first year and make sure that we have mentors in charge of food. What worked fabulous last time, they went out and got subs and made basically a potluck food spread. It's far cheaper than buying stadium food, a bottle of water for $4. We know some of the kids on the team won't have the money to buy the right lunch, so we'll go to a hotel that has breakfast included, and we will have make sure that the plan is meals for lunch and dinner. So we're going to ask that each member that goes pay $150, and the target would be $10,500 would be paid by the team. So that's our goal.
Mr. Gleason?
Christina, on the left side, so 6, 6, and 4 is 16. Is one of those charges not like it says hotel 8,000, not 6,000, or?
Yeah, that doesn't add up, does it? It's 4,000 difference.
Well, it's
No, it's
16,
two.
not 18. I didn't know if maybe one of those itemized lines should be higher or if the total should be lower.
Probably the total should be lower. I have to check. I scaled based on the actual expenses from the first year with number of students, number of nights. So I think that would be lower because I think those items down below are the right values, the 6,000 hotel. The registration's definitely 4,000.
Okay, so it might even be a little bit cheaper than you.
Might be 2,000 cheaper, which
Excellent.
would help
Okay.
some.
That's a good thing.
I would just take it out of the
But Chris,
the
aren't
team
we
expense.
feeding teenagers here?
Yes, they do eat a lot of food. I have to say, we do eat really well here on Saturdays. It's the one day we have a meal for our filled days. All the parents bring in potluck. And actually this past weekend, another flood, Lucia's donated a spaghetti dinner for the entire team.
Oh, nice.
It was delicious, and the teachers had lots of leftover salad. I don't know if the students didn't eat some. So yeah, thanks for noticing that, Dan. That might be a couple $1,000 we just found in the plus.
I hope so.
So we're still going to keep the $150 per person, and it'll be only $8,500 for the team. Okay, then there's the big trip to St. Louis. We're not carpooling for that. I don't think we're allowed to. I remember when we went last time, Carl Mock said we have to have a coach bus. So that would be our plan. It would be, again, if we qualify for the World Championship, which we are planning to, about 20 students and about 10 mentors. It depends on we're still trying to figure out the number of people that want to go and whether we're going to plan to share a bus with another team, which is what we did when we had only 40 people on the team. We have 75 people now. We could warrant our own bus, but we don't know that we want to pay for our own bus. So every meeting we keep attendance, and we know who's in the leadership roles. So if we need to draw a line for the number of students that can go, that would be our plan. So rough budget in the back page, $19,200 for estimated expenses. Hopefully I did the math right. So tell my robotics team, please. About $7,000 for a bus that assumes we're sharing a bus, $3,600 for a hotel, $3,600 for food, $5,000 for registration. So it is $5,000 to participate in the World Championship, just to register. We would target, our budget would be to do what we did the first year, which was $250 a person, which is a steal for 6 days. It's really not a huge expense, but it's still not easy for families that have multiple people. My family has 4 people on the team, not including my dad. So that's something we told the families about at the beginning of the year. So that would, $250 a person, that would take $7,500 of the expense off. We still have a remaining $11,700. That's something I highlighted here. I would like to ask if the Air Shirley Regional School District could contribute to some of that expense. The first year that we went to the World Championship, we got $5,600 to help with the bus and the transportation expense. We've been here for a while now. I don't know what is in the planning this year, and if not this year, we're here to stay. So I'm asking, and I may not get an answer today, but there's $11,700 that we'll have to figure out a plan for. As for overall team budget, our team budget every year is, well, we've been here for years. Our team budget target is $33,000 a year. We are only halfway to our goal this year. For cash donations, we're at $17,000. We have $16,000 to go. We're definitely behind where we were. This is the first year that we're not a rookie team, so we can't get the $6,000 NASA grant anymore. I could use some help with the network connections because we haven't got a renewal yet for Consigli, SMMA, and Dora Whittier. That's $7,500 total between the 3 of them. So we hope to get them back as sponsors, and you guys on the building committee might be able to help us with that. So it's not a cheap program to run, and we don't have any investment in the cash area from the school yet. And all I've asked for so far to consider this year is if we make it to the World Championship, that would help us with that. While I have the floor before you approve, I'd like to recognize the sponsors we do have because they helped us along. Boston Scientific, our biggest sponsor. David B., Vice President, came to speak earlier this year. Air Shirley Education Foundation is our second biggest sponsor, again. ECI Technologies has sponsored us all 3 years. ANSYS is a new company, sponsored us this year. Westford Rotary Club sponsored us for $500. National Grid for $500. Atrius Wealth Advisors, Air Oil, Magnum Ocean, all did some donations. The partners that we have for in-kind donations, meaning it's not cash, but they give us services or materials. We have Air Moving and Storage, Air Auto Trim. Roger does our bumpers, our custom sewed bumpers, and we're doing bumpers again this year. So he's ready to help us out. Portland Glass gave us a 4-foot by 4-foot sheet of Lexand, value of $229. We were pretty psyched about that. SolidWorks gives us our 3D CAD, for which we're actually designing and printing parts that are on our robot today. And we have a new partnership with the Devon's Machine Shop, and an Army Major, Jason Butler, has volunteered some of his time. If we need some specialty parts made, we hope to continue that relationship because we don't have machine shop capabilities here. So, would you approve our 4 out-of-state permission slips?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we approve the out-of-state permission slips for the robotics team for 2016.
Second.
Further discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? So voted.
And there was a question earlier tonight, like, why are we seeing such good positive attitudes in this school? And the robotics team is certainly a huge contributor to that. Because you get those kids so excited at that level, and they've done such great things. And starting first, I'm not gonna have the name right, Krista, Robotics First, and working on that. I mean, this is huge. This is huge for education across the state. And I hope that your presentation works really well.
Thank you very much. I should also mention we were recognized in the newspaper, thank you, Amy Jones, in 2 newspapers with a recent article, which is quickly put into our video.
Mhm.
Also, as you saw from the video, 2 of our students got a chance to meet the governor. We're setting up right now where the governor is going to speak. We've invited him to speak at one of the competitions, and he has accepted.
Good.
So Will Doyle and Jill Schilber are so excited to talk to him again. Maybe we should talk about the budget.
Yes, yes.
Yes, why don't you?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
So yes.
We could do a lot more.
Thank you very much for everything you're doing, Christine.
Yeah,
It's a big
Kristen.
sacrifice you and your family are making. It's a great program.
There's plenty of reward, and I'm going to send some photos along. We need to show the math teachers the math that's been on the board. We've got trigonometry, angles. And we have a new robot, by the way, that robot base that's been driving around. If you haven't seen the video, check it out on our Facebook page.
We'll have to track that data on state
Krista,
assessment.
what was the challenge this year?
The challenge is a medieval castle theme. So you will be seeing some of those parks built, especially over at Page Hilltop and the Cultural Arts. It's the hardest field to create that we've ever had. It's $400 in wood materials, and we just finished it this week. We started it January 9th with a team of about 7 of our people. There's a castle on each end of like a basketball court. It's a 10-foot high castle. There are low windows, and there's a high window that's 10 feet high. The goal is to get boulders into the castle. If we get boulders, which are 10-inch playground balls that are spongy like a Nerf ball, if you get boulders in the castle, it weakens the castle. If you weaken the castle enough, the flag will go down. In front of each castle, there are defenses. There's a moat. There's a rock wall. There's a low bar. There's a sally port. There's different gates. So the robot would have to pull a gate up, push a door down. There's all kinds of obstacles. And you don't know which ones are going to be out there. The audience votes on one of the obstacles, so we'll see what that is. And so basically the robot needs to be able to go over those obstacles, put boulders in the castle, and all in 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
So it should be fun.
That's all.
But so yes, come cheer us on. We'll be, the first weekend of March will be in Wyndham, and the second weekend of March will be at Reading in the high school there. So good to see you.
Great, thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We also have an out-of-town field trip. Ms. Alaire is going to speak to us on it.
So for the past 29 years, Student Council has attended the Massachusetts Association of Student Councils 3-day leadership conference at Pinus. And so it's March 9th through the 11th. And we leave at 10:30 on a Wednesday afternoon. We'll be back at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And so the point of it is for student councils across the state to gather and to network, to talk to each other, and to learn. And so did you get the agenda of the conference? It is attached.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see the agenda there. It's pretty packed. We get there, we go to bed at 12:15. Well, that's when you have to be in the room. Is it 12:15? Yeah, okay. And then we start conferences at 8 a.m. and then back in your hotel room at 12:15, and then start conferences again at 9 a.m. the next morning, and back in the cars at 10:30. So it's a pretty packed, not even quite 36 hours that we're gone. And so Ben's just going to talk to you a little bit about what we learned last
was actually very fortunate to go on it last year. The many things that we brought back, in fact, we're implementing into our e-board right now and all the class councils, such as how we organize our meetings using old business and new business. It's actually allowed us to save time and actually streamline how our meetings operate and also their effectiveness. The other things that we brought back, the actual idea for penny wars, we brought back from some of our fundraising workshops that we had over there. In fact, we're now doing that next week, and we're very thrilled to actually bring such things back. The other thing, which is very crucial, we're actually networking with other schools. I've made a lot of friends and actually been able to work with other classes on how to, one, run our classes better, more effectively, and also to bring back new ideas that we can actually implement for various situations that kind of transpire. Also, the final thing is it's been a very intuitive, very educational way of team building, actually learning how to overcome any problems that come in front of somebody, and also to show how student council should really be run and how they can help our entire community. So that's what I learned.
So the finances are going to be a little bit different than what's on there. Thanks to the success of the Blacklight Dance, students are actually now just paying $120, and student council and the class councils are going to be paying the extra money. So it's $305 per student, and that includes food in the hotel and all the conference materials. And then 8 students are going, and then we are dropping down.
Great. Entertain a motion to
I
approve.
have one quick question. Is anybody running for state e-board or anything?
No one is running for state e-board. We currently have one member on the Central District. Cassie Brees is our PR, and someone is considering running for Central District this year, and is considering that. But we haven't had anyone run for state board in a while,
Okay.
but we are getting more active in running for the Central board.
Great.
So Cassie is there, and then we have some considerations for this coming spring for our Central District. And Central District is the largest district. We're very proud of that. There are 75 to 80 schools that participate in MASC, and 45 of them come from the Central District. So we have conferences of 700 kids when we go to the fall conference. There were 650, I think, at our last fall conference. So we are the largest geographic and just physical population district. So when you go to this conference, it's 1,000 kids. Well, 1,100 kids and then adults. So I get a little overwhelmed with my children. But yeah, that's where we are right now.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion that we approve the student council field trip.
Please.
Seconded?
Moved and second. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
We're really lucky that people are willing to take kids and go places with.
And I have some flyers for our pancake breakfast if anybody wants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wilson, you'll be part of this, right? So we'll get an immediate report back from you on how it went.
Absolutely.
Great.
I intend to. I'll write a sit there or stuff like that. It's a blast. It's gonna be a lot of fun and very intuitive.
Thank you. Item C, under new business, we're very pleased to have Chief Goulden with us from the Shirley Police Department to speak to us about the DARE program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Dr. Malone for having us here tonight to speak with the school board committee. I am pleased to announce that starting tomorrow, we'll be bringing the DARE program back to the school district. Sergeant Alfreda Cromwell and Officer McGinnis just recently completed the DARE instructor course in December, and they've been very diligent in doing their homework to get the program up and running. And they have a short presentation I'd like to present to the school committee so they can see what the program is all about. It's been updated from the original DARE program. I think it's a worthwhile program. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully it lasts for a long time in the school district. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we'll first start by passing out some materials. We just take one of each and pass it down. And I want to come over and personally shake your hand because I think you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you. Thank you.
leave some lesson plans here for the middle school. And I apologize, we may not have enough. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I'm so excited to be here and be part of this program. I have to start by telling everyone that the DARE instructor school is extremely challenging. Actually, one of the most challenging classes that I've ever attended. And I've been to SWAT school, okay? This was so hard. We spent so much time on how the brain works, how children learn, different learning styles, and we spent hours upon hours of drafting lesson plans. So it was definitely quite an experience. We had the opportunity of going out to elementary and middle school in New Hampshire to practice on some students. And one thing that stands out for me, it was so amazing. I believe it was in the 4th grade. The lesson plan was about peer pressure. And when we asked him to talk about peer pressure and what it meant to him, he had the best example. He said, when I'm eating a French fry, when my dog stares at me and wants a French fry, it really puts a lot of pressure on me. And it's like, yes! Nonverbal communication, that's pressure. It may not be a peer, but that's pressure, very good. So, I want to talk to you guys about this guy right here. He's Darren the Lion. So, Darren now is a spokesperson for DARE. Years ago, it was actually Yogi the Bear. But he got so tied up protecting Jellystone Park that we had to reach out. You can actually look this up online. But, they did an extensive search. They found Darren, and because he represents courage and pride, strength, and he always says no to drugs. So he's our spokesperson for DARE. So we use him as a tool in the classroom, and we like to recognize good behavior and participation. So Dr. Malone, I think you did a great presentation.
Wow.
Especially so you can hold on to Darren for a little bit.
I was watching you bring him along, and I said, oh, he's so good. Well behaved, I bet, too.
Yeah.
So DARE stands for
I don't know,
Drug Abuse
is he toilet
Resistance
trained?
Education. And just to give you some just quick background, I don't want to take too much of your time. It was founded in Los Angeles in 1983. I believe it's Chief Gates, and he also collaborated with the Los Angeles Unified School District. And the program was, for the most part, successful. There were some issues with it back in the day. There was a dosage issue, meaning that it wasn't implemented long enough. I believe it was a 6-week program, and students just didn't get enough for the program. It was primarily lecture-based. Students pretty much listened to an instructor, and the program was also focused on anti-drugs, so just say no to drugs. The program was also, although it was shaped by police officers and teachers, it wasn't shaped by prevention specialists. So it's been revamped since then. Prevention specialists have drawn upon evidence-based practices. These lessons now are very interactive. Students break up into groups, they pair share. It is just really it's a great experience, and we're very excited to be a part of it. So a typical lesson would include a lesson review, going over what they've learned last lesson. We also have what's called the DARE box. So the DARE box sits up at the front of the classroom, and students have the opportunity throughout the semester to put questions in the DARE box that they don't feel comfortable sharing with the entire group. So we start off by answering some of those questions so that students feel comfortable and their questions are answered. There are various activities that we'll actually get into now. If you're looking at the sample lesson here, it'll give you just an overview. As you can see, lesson 1, we talk about options and choices. So in this lesson, students basically identify the keeping it real resistance strategies. So as you can see, they refuse, explain, avoid, and leave. Now, in the previous DARE program, we teach just say no. Here, we give students a toolkit. So we give them explanations in advance to tell other kids either no or why they don't want to do something. So refuse, no. Explain, no, I can't do that, my mom is expecting me after school. They can avoid the situation, we give them 3 different ways they can avoid, or we teach them how to leave. So it's just preparing them. You might deal with this situation. Here are the tools that you need, and they feel more comfortable and confident and stay away from bad situations. You can just go through here, risks, communication, conflict. Again, you see refuse, explain, avoid, leave. And they talk about norms. This is fascinating because students may have an idea as to, maybe all students have tried drugs. It couldn't be further from the truth. And that's an opportunity, it's a great teachable moment for them. They watch several videos, and the wonderful thing about the videos is that, particularly in the middle school, is that they're not actors. The videos are created by students for students, and that's the way that you're going to reach these kids. So, Officer McGinnis now here is just going to quickly show you just a video, just quickly going over a lesson.
Is there one of the moderators I can use for?
Does that come up here or there?
Sure, you can use that one.
While he's getting that set up, if you want to turn to page 3 of the planner, this is just one example here. They use what's called the DARE decision-making model. So they are able to define a situation, assess it, basically work through their choices, respond to the situation, and evaluate the situation. And if you look on the next page, page 7, for example, we'll look at story E. As you can see, Lauren is hanging out with her friends when one of them suggests that they cut school the next day to go to the mall. Everyone except Lauren seems to think that this is a good idea. They start by making plans about cutting school. Lauren doesn't want her friends to think she is one of them, so she starts planning too. So the students have an opportunity to take the DDMM and apply it to that situation and think from that situation. So it's really a great tool.
Is it a PowerPoint?
It is.
Then you should use this computer, because I don't think the school has the PowerPoint.
That one. Well, there's also a video as well.
It has video
I think
too?
it's fine on that one.
There you go, can you just open?
Oh, he was doing open, you just need to go one more, you're all set, and we'll launch PowerPoint.
Or open
You cut out
office?
one too soon. Set up. Looks like it's open in the bottom of the tray.
Yeah.
I think you can click slideshow and then view.
Want to do show more?
Oh, that's fine too.
So one of the things that Sergeant Cromwell mentioned was the DARE decision-making model. And in this, we always tell the students to flip the flap. So anytime they have a question regarding a situation they're in or a possible conflict, we try to ingrain it into them. It's okay to flip the flap at any point in time, because if you take the book set in front of you and go to the front page, there's a flap that you flip it open.
On this one, it's actually on the page that you were just on.
Okay. Which will go over the acronym for DARE and the DARE decision making model. I'm gonna do this really quick because it's actually a 45 to 50 minute presentation. So this is gonna be quick, so it's just gonna be a brief overview of the program, which is right here. Define, assess, respond, and evaluate different ways of dealing with different conflicts. As we go through and as we instruct to the students, we utilize all the educational processes in the way that individual students learn, because not every student learns the same way. This was also a huge problem that Dare had in the beginning days. In the beginning days, Dare was simply go up and preach. Children do not like to be spoken to. They like to be talked to. And finally, Dare got a hold of that and said, we need to change things. They will constantly ask children to ask questions amongst themselves, why they're in this situation, how can they respond to it, and how can they get out of it. It also allows them to start to build confidence that their decision they are making is the right decision because it's their opinion. So that it's teaching them not to be judged by others for standing up and saying no. Now, it may not just be no to drugs, it just may be no to stealing and hacking up. You know. And as they assess, respond, and evaluate, we ask students constantly to participate in the classes and actually read particular stories and then get together, as the sergeant mentioned, in small groups and come up with decisions based on the DARE decision module. This is actually one of the conflict stories that we did in the classroom to get the students to engage with us and to come up with decisions.
It may seem dry, but it really generates quite a bit of discussion.
It does, but we're trying to do a real rapid. I don't want to give you guys 20 minutes here. Another very nice thing about the new DARE is that the students are very interactive. It's actually broken up over the course of 45 to 50 minutes. In 45 to 50 minutes, we have them reading, we have them doing workbook studies, and most importantly, we have them doing activities. During these activities, they're actually up and moving around. So the students will actually get up. One of them, we ask these students to move to a particular corner of the room based on what the decision is to a series of questions that have to do with stress. One of them is somewhat, always, never. I forget what the fourth one is, I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize. And you ask them a question, and they move, and then you ask them to respond on why they went to that corner. And as we all know, it just helps to break up the day for them, or the class period for them.
It's also good for those tactile learners that need to get up and move around. So, very good.
It gets students involved in this level with different sorts of behavior, passiveness, aggressiveness, and assertiveness. We spend quite a bit of time in interaction with the students and facilitating discussion on what they feel each level is. Because at this level, which is going to be sixth grade, children tend to struggle with this. Is this individual being assertive or are they being aggressive? And we actually really dive down into it greatly with them and help them make the decision on which is which. And we move forward.
That's great, that's a great skill.
Students will practice using online tools and test items from last year's assessment. So we have a couple of trainings coming up after the February break of the administrative team, and Mary Beth is working with Mike Tebow and the principals to develop schedules for tech support when they work on the online tech assessment piece. Last Thursday, as I noted earlier, we held informational sessions last Thursday and Friday for preschool and kindergarten registration. We had over 100 families in attendance, and we anticipate increased enrollment. This week, we have, I want families to know that they can register at any time. There's an open process, but we specifically designated this week to get as many families as possible registered. Tonight, we extended hours until 7 p.m. And of course, if families cannot make it this week, they can call the school at any time and go in and register. I'm also sending home, I wrote the letter today, in our preschool program, a lot of those students we want to bring into kindergarten, so I'm sending a different letter to those families, and actually a form where they will commit, hopefully, or let us know their intent of whether they'll be coming to kindergarten next year. So we're really doing an effort to recruit families and to get early enrollment, because it could impact staffing as well. Today we held parent conferences for students in K-8. The principals reported they were well attended by parents, and we want to thank parents for their time. It is important to meet with their child's teacher and learn about their child's academic performance. We are collecting data on parent attendance to establish a baseline and then look for ways to improve this two-way communication. I think in some of the schools, it's been parents almost like an invite basis, and I would like to see a more open process where anybody who wants to attend conferences should be going. So that would be the purpose of that. I just reported to you on the Sergeant Cromwell's committee on the opioid. Sunday night, I had the pleasure of attending the football banquet organized by Coach Maggiani and parents. It was a fabulous evening, and recognizing the players. Dinner was served and many awards were presented, and Coach M showed a wonderful video of the season highlights. The football players just gathered in front of the screen, and they didn't move. They were happy to see themselves. He had a keynote speaker there, and there were some other speeches. But my favorite quote of the evening was from senior Dwight Richards. He got up to the podium. They were presenting gifts to the coach and the assistant coaches, and he said, Coach M took a group of beaten down boys and turned us into football players. And I saw him yesterday. Was here yesterday because they were subbing. Yeah, yesterday I was here and I saw him and I commented to him and he said, I love him. I said, you love who? He says, Coach, love him. Mrs. Bozak and Mr. DeRosa, we, by regulations, are mandated to have a CPAC. So they held the first meeting the last Thursday, and it was a good turnout. Parents were very positive, and they did elect officers, which they're supposed to do, so we're on a good track to get that committee to be solid and functioning, and yeah, so that's a good. And then congratulations to the members of the mock trial for their convincing victory over the Voyages of Acton yesterday. And then John Sweeney sends his update. You know, boys basketball, they're improving. They're a young team. They're in the playoff hunt, but they need to win 4 out of the next 5 games. Moving down to girls basketball, the girls need to win 2 more games to make it to districts this year. They've had a great season, and they have a great attitude, and they have many contributors that range from freshmen to seniors. Indoor track completed the league meet last night, where they turned out a great performance. I didn't mention this in here, but Ethan Matthews, he broke the 2-mile record for the mid-watch districts. John reports that there were many personal records that were set. In the swim team, Jessica Russell, Jared Magno, Catherine Cooper, and Claudio Yao will all be participating in the league meet this week, and they've worked hard, deserve a lot of credit. And the hockey team is a young team, but they're working extremely hard as well. And then I included some personnel updates. We have received 2 retirements, Mrs. Deborah Flagg and Mrs. Helen Harris. Mrs. Flagg has taught for 40 years, 35 years in the Shirley School District, and the last 5 years in the region. She has taught at elementary and middle school levels, and she is a highly regarded mathematics teacher, and she is beloved by the students and parents, and she will certainly be missed in this district next year. Mrs. Helen Harris has worked as a paraprofessional at the Page Hilltop for the last 24 years, and she's caring and most kind to her students. Excuse me. And she's recently worked with her daughter in her grade 4 classroom at the Page Hilltop as a paraprofessional, so I thought that. But truly, and I'm sure we'll hear more about Mrs. Flagg, but I did want to note it, and, you know, that's what we've had for retirements. And I wanted to bring you some updates on college acceptances, and I'll get to you next time, okay? There's some
Thank you.
impressive acceptances. Thank you.
Dr. Miller?
Sure.
On the college acceptance thing, so, I don't know, it was you or someone else who made mention that we think someone is being considered for Naval Academy.
Hmm.
You know, one of the guidance counselors actually put out on Twitter, congratulations to 2 seniors who were accepted. So was that
Well,
premature? Or?
I think it was a little bit because I called over to verify, and the information that I got was that they've applied and they've gone through a portion of that process. So I didn't want to say specifically that they did, so, because I retweeted the tweet. Well, you don't tweet at 4 in the
Then
morning.
I think I can say that.
I gotta
And
be careful with
other
those
people, I
buttons
mean,
that
two kids in
early
the
on.
military academy.
Yeah, so, anyhow,
Okay, thank you.
but we'll be hopeful for that student for sure.
FY17 calendar.
So the school calendar, Mary Beth worked on it, Michelle, the principals, myself. I brought it to the faculty advisory group. We brought it to the union for the contract. So it's pretty much similar, it's pretty similar to last year, except that we're looking at conducting the kindergarten screenings in late August. We re-looked at some of the assessments and looking at the age. It's more appropriate, age-related and developmentally appropriate to screen at that time. And so those students would be screened the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st, and would all report to school on the 6th. And the professional development time, we have about 29 hours for our K-8 staff. And we have about 26 hours for those in 9 through 12, because one of the half days the K-8 staff have, while the high school staff has a half day for exams. The last day of school, the 181st day is June 15th. We have your report card dates on here, when the term ends, when report cards will be issued. We don't have any of the FY17 assessment information because it has not been released yet. They did let districts know that the MCAS, the grade 10 MCAS, would probably be in the same window, but we don't have any information on the MCAS 2.0 or next generation assessment, or however you'd like to so name it. I'll be happy to.
So none of the test times have been
No,
set?
no,
Yeah,
no,
of any description?
no.
Questions, feedback from the committee on the calendar as presented this evening?
Mr. Chairman, maybe this is just a presentation for first look at, right?
Mhm,
So
yeah.
maybe we could table it till the next meeting, and the union has to come into this anyway, right?
The what?
Part-
She's showing.
No, they're already, I've vetted it, everybody's vetted it, this is.
Okay, so
yeah.
they have
Yep.
approved it?
Yep.
We're still gonna-
Well, it's not so much, so they prove, they give, they give feedback to it. They
Yeah.
have a chance to look at it, and, yeah.
Whether the January 2 date, whether you really need to have that on.
It's when the holidays,
New Year's, 'cause
It's a
New Year's
national
is-
it's
holiday.
when
because
it's
the first is
celebrated.
Sunday.
Yeah,
It's a pain.
that's a national holiday.
Yeah.
So you have a short week, then another short week, it's like
I know.
crazy.
So we'll have that come back up at the next meeting for approval.
For a vote, yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Malone. Item 8, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from regular session January 20th, 2016, for release.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 20th, Wednesday, to be for release,
Second?
regular minutes.
Moved in second, discussion, amendments. I didn't find anything, none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so voted. Entertain a motion to approve the executive session minutes, January 20th, 2016, not yet for release.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from, I just lost the date.
20th.
January 20th, for an executive session, not for release.
Second?
Moved and seconded, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Under item 9, I would like to ask for a volunteer or two to join me on a policy subcommittee to do some work on a few things that have come up recently. Building or subsections of building naming, which we had remembered a policy on, but it didn't seem to make it really into the regional. So we want to take a quick look at that, which won't be a lot of work. But another piece which is going to take some work is general policies and protocols around accepting donations and funds into the district. And what are the proper procedures for pulling in and then disseminating funds and donations, whether in kind or primarily monies that are donated in.
So that would, rewriting the one there's a general one in there now, isn't there?
There's
On
a-
that,
No, I don't think so.
It doesn't really address, because
Maybe I'm
there's a
going back,
procedure
remembering
and
something from a
policy,
while
so
ago.
when there's a donation of any kind, it should be brought, I would bring it to school committee, because it's
that may
regulation
have
of
gotten
school
lost
committee.
in the,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
so,
forming of the region, because I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I'm familiar with one from historically.
yeah, maybe,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, we had one, so it may have gone under the rug.
So I don't want to get into the weeds on it this evening,
Yeah.
but if anybody wants to join me in spending a little bit of time studying a little bit and helping putting some language together, that would be fantastic.
Tentatively.
Volunteer to help you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you,
You
Mr.
had brought up
Grossman.
the idea of the building naming issue. I should get involved.
Appreciate that.
Unless it was during negotiations.
No, you could.
Unless we're doing negotiations.
You got
I'm raising my
You
hand.
got a lot going on.
Go ahead, Jim.
We'll run it by Jim. Dan and I put the first draft together. Anything under 10?
I have one quick thing.
Mr. George.
If I can find the email with the dates in it. The town of Shirley posted the other day that the state delegation, local senators and reps will be attending one of their selectmen meeting in the near future. Not to completely crash their party, but it may be not a bad idea for us to sit
We should go to that.
and listen and, express our frustrations with some of the budget that we've seen, certainly. I can get those dates one second, because I wrote it down. It'll either be March 28th, April 11th, or April 25th. They haven't quite finalized the dates, but I figured it'd probably be good for us, some of us, to attend it.
That's right. Thank you.
Keep us-
And
keep
I
us
guess I'm
apprised on that.
volunteering at that.
No, I'll go.
Well, you're volunteering to keep us apprised of when
Right.
it actually gets done.
Yeah, let us know.
That I can do.
And that's
Mary Ellen, you know-
Shirley's reps, right? So it's Sheila, Jen, and Jamie,
Yes, correct.
because they actually now share all of them. Also under,
Yeah, there's no Sheila and
No,
Shirley.
there's
no Sheila and Shirley.
Yeah, there's no Sheila and
Oh,
Shirley.
that's right.
the Sheila.
Oh, right. There's one
Sheila's-
rep and one,
Air has the wings.
Huh?
we have to split, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can, yeah.
Also under number 10, really, it's more appropriate as a follow-up item, because in our last meeting, talked to the committee about the legislation to put a moratorium on the development of charter schools. And if you supported my drafting a note to Sheila and Jen and Jamie about supporting that legislation, which I have done, and you approved me to do that, so let me read it to you and make sure it's all right to be sent. Dear Senator Eldridge, Representative Benson, Representative Harrington, we, the undersigned members of the Air Shirley Regional School Committee, are writing to inform you of our support for the passage of S-326, an act establishing a moratorium for Commonwealth charter schools. We furthermore are asking for your support of this legislation as well. Since the foundation of our regional district in FY12, Air and Shirley have sent over $6 million to charter schools. Under the reimbursement plan, we've received about $600,000 in return. In the same period, we've been able to reduce the number of students leaving our district by about 28%, but this year alone, we'll be sending over $1 million to charter schools, and our reimbursement is about $85,000. This is not a sustainable funding model, and now it appears the governor would like to recommend a cut to the reimbursement program in order to fund additional charter schools. This is a disservice to public education and the students we're trying to serve. We oppose creating more charter schools as well as opposing any change to the reimbursement program, unless, of course, it includes increasing the funds returned to the sending district. Thank you for your time and continued support, sincerely.
Very good, Pat.
Thank you.
Great, great.
Then we'll send it along.
I think if you would forward that to Massachusetts Association of School Committees, that's very well stated and very well written, and they would like to have some of that ammunition.
But we could, yeah. FYI, so your names are on it. I signed it, but your names are on it, and I did CC Air Boss, Shirley Boss, Air FinCom, Shirley FinCom.
Very
And
concisely
thank you,
put.
Michelle, for putting it on letterhead.
For Joyce's suggestion, maybe add Glenn Kuchar on the CC,
Yeah,
or Mike Gilbert's getting someone to answer.
right. Absolutely. Good idea. Thank you.
MASC, too many acronyms.
Yes.
Too many TLCs.
Madam Secretary.
Okay, so Wednesday through Friday, February 3rd through 5th, preschool and kindergarten registration is open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at both Page Hilltop and Laura A. White schools. On Saturday, February 6th, the second annual Air Shirley Regional High School mattress fundraiser will happen at Page Hilltop from 10 to 5. Also on Saturday, February 6th, is the Page Hilltop Father-Daughter Dance from 6 to 8. And not on here, but as already mentioned, the February 6th from 7:30 to 9:30 here at the high school cafeteria is the first annual scholarship pancake breakfast hosted by the high school student council. It's $5 for ages 4 plus. Monday, February 15th, President's Day, there's no school. There will also be February school vacation from Tuesday, February 16th through Friday, February 19th. Friday, March 4th, is the middle school science fair held at the middle school. Wednesday, March 30th is the ASRSD speaker series. Loretta LaRoche will be giving a 75-minute talk on parenting with humor and optimism. That's at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Tuesday, April 5th is the art night in partnership with Arts Neshoba from 6 to 8 at Spring Hill Suites in Devens. The middle school will be participating. And Sunday, May 15th, the Janice Bresenhan Run for Education has made it back at 10 a.m. at the high school campus. And on Sunday, September 25th, is the Holdenwood Trail Run, 9 a.m.
Yay! Jonathan's going
Madam
to win next
Secretary,
year, right?
thank you.
No, Mr. Ryan will beat me.
All right, we are in need of a brief executive session this evening for purposes of negotiation. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn and enter into executive session and then return to open session solely for the purpose of adjournment of open.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Mr. DeFord?
Aye.
Joyce?
Joyce Reshoots, aye.
Michelle?
I have to write tonight.
Dan?
Mine have-
Aye, we are in executive session.